Okay, for this exercise, we will be still using the same code as we did last time. We'll just have to continue it, but this time I'll be accessing the Virtualbox, okay, machine. So because our databases are here in this machine, right? So we'll try to use this one. So I'll minimize it, but we will connect into it. So based on my setup, my Virtualbox machine is having 192.168.8.103 IP address, and my host machine, which is this Windows 10 host machine, is having 192.168.8.102. So we will try to let the two communicate. Okay. So let me just minimize this. So let me also close this one. I don't do this for the meantime. Okay. So let me go with this tool here, SQL Yog. So let me make a new connection. So let me get 192, or let me call it Virtualbox. So 192.168.8.103, right? So it's 103, yes. So the username is root and the password is Cisco, I guess. As denied for user root at 192.8. This is the IP address, right? 103.8.103 root. Okay, so we have to create a user in this machine that could access remotely, right? So because the root account here in this machine is only dedicated for this root, for this machine, so we can't use it outside this machine. So we have to create a new user here. Okay, let me just create a new user. Localhost root connect. So let me create a new user here in this machine. So we have admin. So we have admin already. I don't know what's the password for this admin. Maybe admin. I just change this to Cisco also. Save changes. Okay, close. So let me connect to this MySQL here. I will use admin and Cisco. Okay, so I was now connected. Yes. Okay, so I am now accessing the database from the remote machine, which is actually our Virtualbox. We are simulating a remote machine here, okay? So I have in here this tech support, same tables we are accessing. Okay, and also I'm going to access the website from http 192.168.8.103. So it says hello, I'm Dr. Freddy. So let's me go with support. I think the name of the page was support, right? Yeah, so we have the support here. Let's go with the login.html. Okay, so we are now here. So we're able to access our web server located on this virtual machine here. Okay, so as I've told you, when you are accessing the the remote machine, let's say for example this one, you should write, instead of localhost here, you will type the IP address of the web host, okay, or the web server. So you shouldn't type localhost here. You will type the IP address. So in this case, I'm accessing this. So I am typing the IP address of this server. Okay. So let's continue with the coding. Okay, so initially we have localhost because I copied the database to this local machine, but this time I will change it. So instead of localhost, I will change it to 192.168.8.103. So this is the address or the address of the remote machine, or which is our VirtualBox here. And same thing, I'll change this to admin, and the password is Cisco. Okay. So let's try to run if I can't connect to that remote database. Yes, so I was able to connect to our VirtualBox. So I'm now accessing the database of that VirtualBox machine. So let's try to modify the codes here. So our task last time, right? So we're going to modify this. So we're going to add a user, update a user, or remove a user. Okay, let's say for example you want to add, update, or remove the user. So we could put something here. But I guess we have to add one component here. Let's say for example you want to search users here, right? So you want to search the users. So you could have a search text box here. So we could add one common control and I put a label here. So let's type here. Let's say for example we want to search. So let's rename it as enter search, enter full name or email. Okay, so we want to search the user using their full name or the email, either the two. And then we could go in here, let's say for example a text box. Okay, so we call this text box texty search user, because we're trying to search the user, right? And then let's have a button here, which is, let's call this one CMD search user. Okay, good. Now let's change the text into search user. Okay. So basically the job of this one is to, I will type a keyword here and then it will be searched in the database. Okay, because basically the logic is like this. If you want to update a user, you have to search it in here, and after that we have to put it in there, right? Or we have to search it and after that we will remove it. So meaning for you to be able to update a user, you have to search it first from the table here. So that's the logic behind how we do this. Why do we need to have a search text box here and a search button here? Okay, so let's code this search user. So I can't put it right away in this one. Okay, so again you just have to copy like this. Okay, just simply copy things like this. So go with the search user. Where's that one? This one, right? So you can copy this, actually copy that and paste it here. Then you will just have to modify the code a little bit. So select user ID, full name, email from users. Okay, then you have to put a where clause here. So normally what I'm doing is I do plus, put this one the next line so that I could do. Okay, select user ID, full name, email from user, where, you can do something like this, where full name like this, txt search user.text. Or if you want, you can put a variable here so that you won't repeat the text box again and again. So you can do a string here, like a string search or keyword, and then take it from the text box. Okay, txt search dot text. Okay, so you can do like this, so that you just have to put it inside later. So keyword, okay, like this. Okay, and then you have to write in here, or email like like this you can do. Then you can type here keyword. Okay, so like this one. Okay, so meaning we're going to we'll be using a wildcard search here. Okay, that will help us to search it. So let me put % here, so that I'll be doing similarity. Okay, similarity search. Okay, so save it. So when you run it, you should see something like, let me just put the form first in the middle of the screen by changing the startup. Windows startup position, let's put it center screen, save it, then run. Okay, so let's say I would like to type, let's say Anwar, then search. So Anwar is not in the database, it won't show. If I type Ferdy, it should show. Or if I type Gmail, let's say Yahoo, so there's no Yahoo, but if I'll search Gmail, it will show, because there's an email here which says Gmail, right? So we do something like this. So now, since we were able to search, we can now update the user or remove the user. Before I go with the update and remove coding, let's try to add a new user first. Okay, so the add user. Okay, so let's go with this for the add user. So let me create, I love creating functions, so methods. So let me create a method here which is private void new user, and I'll create the code for this. Okay, so this one. Okay, so what we do is, whenever we add the user, we have to see to it that this is not empty. That's the first one. So let me put a note here. So when I press the add user button here, so first I have to check if all the text boxes are not empty, right? Are not empty. And second, check if the user is not existing in the database. So you have to do like this. So you have to check first if it's existing or not. So else, then you have to go with the insertion of the new user. Okay, so what we need to do here is, let's try to check first if all the text boxes are not empty. So you can go with private void check or verify. That's the term you can use, verify user. Or let's say private void check if not empty. Okay, you can do something like this. You can name whatever functions you like your method. Okay, you're free to do so. This is just simply a naming, so it's all up to you. So let's try to check if this one is empty or not. Okay, this three here. So if texty full name dot text is equal to like this, meaning it's clear, meaning it's empty, else, then put an if here, else if texty other one here, search user email dot text is empty, then you can do like this, else if. Okay, so meaning the user did not enter anything else. Or you can go with the function len, strlen. It's the same, it will give you the same output. Okay, so we don't want the user to just simply click the add button there, or insert button. Else if txt temporary password tempass.text is empty, then you can do this. Okay, like this one. Else, then you can go with check if the user is not existing. So you can go with this. Okay, check if the user is not existing. So let's try to call the next function, which is private void check if user not exists. Okay, I don't allow you to do very long method names like this, but for the sake of discussion, for you to grasp or the discussion, I will be using long names here. But when you do the coding, please practice avoiding typing very long. Okay, very long. What do you call this one? Very long coding. It's not actually advisable. So let's say, okay, check if user not exists in the database. So then you can call this one check if user not exist. Okay, like this. So this is if. So you can make message boxes here. Message boxes box.show. Please enter full name. Or yeah. Okay. Then copy this one because I'm lazy. Copy that and paste it here. Then go with the email here. Okay, period. Then here, please provide temporary password. Period. Okay, like that. So let me call the first method here. I'll call it check if not empty, like that. Okay, like this one. So else it will go to the next method. So if I'll be the user and I'll try to press the insert button, okay, it should tell this one, please enter full name. Okay, please enter full name. So until I satisfy, please enter email. Okay, like this. Okay, so this is just for blocking the user from entering empty values in the database. Okay, although you can use the strlen, okay, the variable strlen, you can also use that one, like if str, okay, or string, okay, so you can use that one. Okay, or text full name dot text length, this one, okay, is equal to 0. Okay, meaning text length, because sometimes user might do like this. Okay, that's why we are trying to do codes like this. Sometimes they do like this, space. Okay, that one, that space is counted as 1. You will see there's a blue, right? So space, space, 2 spaces, so that's equivalent to 2. Because a space also is a character. Okay? That's why it's safer, instead of using this empty like this, so you can use text length. Okay, it's safer. Because sometimes users might enter spaces instead of anything. So you could go like that. So you go with text length is equal to 0. Okay, same here. I'll change it to 0 here. I'll change it to text length. Okay, same here. This becomes 0. And let me change this one with dot text length. Okay, save. Try to run it. Okay, you will see it says enter email. Okay, it did not count for full name, right? So because it's like that, correct? Because we entered something. Okay, so it's like this one. Next, let's go with the next one. Check if user not exists. Okay, so let's go with the check if user not exists. Let's try to verify first if the user already is in the database. That's the purpose of doing this. Okay, if the user is in the database, so you have to verify the username, the full name, or the email. Basically, you want the email, okay, to be verified. So let's check if the email is in there. Perhaps the user is already in the database. So let's check the email. So I think you could copy code here. You can copy this code, actually, this one, this show user, and we'll just have to change it later. Okay, copy this, and I'll paste it here. You see coding here are repeating. Paste here. Okay, so select in this case user ID, full name, email. So let me just take this. I will only take the email, okay, from users. Okay, this one, and then I'll put a where clause here, where email equals like this, text.email.text. So I'll try to check if this value entered in the text email is existing in the database. So I'll be doing this. So I don't need a grid here. Okay, so I could just have to use a different one, a data set. Okay, so if you can go with this one, if ds.tables 0.rows count, okay, rows count, okay, that count is not equal to 0, so we can have a message here. Okay, else, so meaning if it was found, this one means the user was found. Okay, so just can go with message box here. Okay, else, then you can now call this new user. Okay, okay, so like this. So let's try to, let's say for example I'm trying to enter the same user account. I'll be writing here Ferdy, then email is ferdy@gmail.com, then password is 12345. So we will change this later. Okay, then add. So it says user already exists in the database, so I can't add this user. Okay, so let's change this. It's temporary password into password character. Let me change it to something like this. Okay, so let's try to do the inserting now. Okay, so after all of this, after checking if it's empty or not, and then let's go with the next one. Okay, let's go with the next one, which is this. So again, you are required to use SQL here, but this time you're going to do insert into users. Is that users? Yes, the name is users, full name, email, and password. Okay, users. So close this one. Full name, email, and password. Values. Okay, the values you can put like this. So you can put this on the next line. Okay. At full name, comma, at email. So we'll be doing some parameters here, okay? And this one is password. Okay, like this. So this is our SQL statement now. So since we are writing data to the database, we are not going to use a data adapter. Okay, instead we'll be using what? We will be using a command. MySQL command cmd equals to new MySQL command. Same thing, like a data adapter, a command requires an SQL statement and the connection, which is con. Okay, so we'll be inserting something to the database. Whenever you insert, delete, and update, you'll be going to use a command. Please remember that, okay? If you're going to select only or to display data from the database to your form, you'll be using data adapter. Okay? I repeat, when you are inserting, deleting, or updating data to your database, you'll be using MySQL command. Okay? So same thing, you have to go with try, catch, and then this one. So MySQL exception ex, then message box dot show ex dot message. So if there will be mistakes or errors in our syntax or whatever it is, and then it will be displayed here. So you can now do the cmd dot prepare, okay, and then cmd dot execute non-query, and then you could go with these parameters. In this case, you could go with this, which is cmd dot parameters dot add, right? Or dot add with value, like this one. So what's the name of the parameter here? It's email, right? Then what's the value you want to insert? It's txt email, like that, right? Dot text. So this is very long, so you can do something like this: var p equals cmd dot parameters, okay, just to make it shorter, p, okay, like this. Okay, so then let me add the full name, p dot add with value, close parenthesis here, at full name. Then what you want to put in that, txt full name dot text, right? Like this. So meaning I'm going to insert the value from the txt full name and txt email, assign it to the parameter full name, which is in here, and then I will insert it to the database table. P dot add with value at password, right? And then close in here, txt temp password dot text. Is it? So you can now insert it in your database. Okay. So after this, you can refresh this table here by calling the method, which is, you can put a message box first here, like message box that show user was successfully added. Okay, like this. Then you can go with show users. Okay, so con.open. I forgot to put this one here. Okay, we have to open it. Okay, I forgot to put this one. So let's remove this. Okay, let's save it. Just try to rewrite it. Control said and done. We have done it. Okay. So we'll try to delete this now. This full name email here. So we could go with remove user. So this one. Okay. So we'll delete this. So what we will do is when we delete this, we have to click here and data should go here. Okay. So we will click this one and data should go here. Then after that we will press the remove and then it will be deleted here and it will be removed also here in the database. So you will see we have 3 records in the database. We have Ali Al-Razi and we have the full name here. So we could delete them. I mean we can delete this one, the second one, using this code. So let me just close this one and go with remove. Okay. So first we have to click this grid here. We have to click here the row header. Okay, so let me just run it so that you will see what I mean. So basically we call this the row header. Okay, this with this arrow here we call it the row header, and this one is the column header, this on the top. Okay, we call this the column headers. So we will be pressing one header here. Okay, the one selected is highlighted in blue. So whatever we select, it should go here, and then we will delete here. Okay. So click this object, go to events, this one here. You will see this light, this symbol here, and then go with look for row header mouse click. Where is that one? Row header. This one. Row header mouse click. This one. Okay. Click this one to create an event for you. This one. So what we will do is whatever we click here, we will display here. Okay. Except the passwords. The password we won't display here because it's not allowed. Only the full name we have to display the full name and the email. The password we won't display anything. Okay. So what we will do is like this. Click here and we will display in there. So dot value dot toString. Okay. Okay, it's already here. Okay. This is full name. This is Ali. So we can continue the rest. So since it's very long coding here, you can cut this to make it short. Okay. You can go with var dg equals dg users that's current row. Okay, like this, so that you could cut this one. You can remove this one and only type dg. Okay. Next, you can go with text to email dot text equals dg dot cells 2 dot value dot toString. So in this way, let's write SQL equals delete from users where user ID equals at user ID. Okay, like this. So you'll be deleting them. Okay. And you can go with a cmd MySQL. If you'll be using multiple command, it's better that you have to copy this and paste it here. Okay, declare one global variable, or I mean a public variable here, which is a command. Okay, like this, so that you could just simply use it multiple times later in your code. So you can go with this one. So cmd equals new, like that. Okay. And so if you don't want to do the parameters here, you can do so by typing like this. You can do multiple ways. Okay. If you don't want parameters, you can do like this. Okay, so you go directly from the variable user ID that you have used earlier, which is on the top, this. Okay, you can go with this on the first way. the user ID here, and then go with the cmd is equal to new Mysql Command, and then you can type in here SQL and then con. Okay, then do the try catch, so that we will know the mistakes later. MySQL exception ex, then message box dot show ex dot message. Then you can do the same thing here, cmd dot prepare, and then go with cmd dot execute non-query like this. Okay, so if it is successful, then you can do something like this: message box dot show user was deleted. Okay, like this. And then you can call a function which is private void clear form. So this is just to clear the form. Okay, so after deleting, then you go with clear form. Okay, and then you can also go with this txt email dot clear to erase it, the value, I mean the text from the text boxes. Okay, like this. And then you can refresh the grid, show user like this. Okay, so no, I have a mistake. This one here. Okay, run it. So full name, I'll delete it. So delete table text support user. I'm sorry, so I have a mistake on the code. It should be users, not user. This is a good thing. This is a good thing whenever you have this catch here. Okay, actually it's not a good practice that we just simply click the button without asking the user any confirmation if he really wants to delete or not a certain record from the database. So in doing so, we have to include another set or line of code or lines of code that would be asking our users to confirm if deletion should be done or not. There is a class called Dialog Results in Visual C#, and it allows us to define our message boxes, and you can perform various types of alerts that you could give to your users. In this example, you could create a variable msg wherein you're going to ask your user to confirm deletion. So we will going to access the class message box here, and then we'll invoke the method show, and then include here our prompt. What do we want to ask or tell our users to do? So let's say, for example, proceed user deletion. So we have to ask our user this one, and we have to put a caption on the dialog box or the message box. Let's say delete. Okay, and then we have to include what buttons should the user press in order to perform to the next action. So in this, we have to select message box buttons, and then we will select yes, no. Then after this, we have to include a message icon that would tell us what kind of prompt we are showing our user. In this case, we'll be using question. And then you could run a set of if-else statements here, a series of if-else statements to trap or to catch what choice or what button was pressed. In this example, if if message is dialog result dot yes, meaning the user pressed the yes button, so we can proceed with deletion here. Else, if the user pressed the no button, okay, so it means cancel deletion. We don't have to delete the user from the database. So since we have done this dialog box here, we can now cut this function for deleting the user from the database and paste it in this if statement here, or okay. So when you run it, you should have to see something like this. You see, a message box is shown like this. So if we press no, we will just have to ignore, and if we press yes, it will delete the user like this. Okay, let's now proceed with the update user coding here. So basically update is very similar with the add user. The only difference is that in the update we try to change one or two fields or information pertaining to our user here. Let's say for example the user wants to change the email, so you can do it with the update. Or if the user forgot his passwords, and you can reset it by giving a temporary password here. So since the coding is quite similar with the add user here, we can copy the codes or the lines of codes we made in the add user and modify it later with the update SQL statement. So in doing so, let me just click this button, which is MD update click, and let me go to the add the new user function here. Okay, let me copy the codes here and paste it in the update. So same thing as I've told you earlier, we just have to change the SQL statements here, and you just have to retain all the parameters involved in this code. So we just have to change the SQL statements. So in doing so, let's replace the code. So let me delete this and replace it. Update users. In this case, we'll be going to use set and then full name. Same, we could use the parameters here, full name, and same email, same parameter, email. The password, if in case the user forgot his password and you want to reset it by giving him the temporary password. And don't forget, you have to include this in your website, in your web page you have created earlier. You should be giving the ability for the users to update their passwords, okay? And after this, we have to put the where clause. Don't forget the where clause, okay? This is very important. The where clause will help us just to update a certain line or records in the database, because without the where clause you will be updating all the records in the database, and that's bad. So using the user ID variable here, we will be updating the database, or that database line or records. So same thing, you don't have to change anything here. So instead, the message box here, you have to say user was successfully added. Instead, you have to write updated. Okay, and then we have to refresh the grid by calling the show users function here. You know this one, right? The one we coded earlier. So take note, since again we are asking the user to update, Again, it's not a good practice that we go straight with the pressing of the button and without asking any confirmation from the user to perform or to continue doing the update. Because sometimes it happens that we accidentally press a button without knowing what will be the result. So to save us from possible mistakes and coding mistakes, we have to include some trapping mechanisms. So one of it will be a dialog box. So again, like what we have done with the delete button or the deletion process, we have to include dialog box here. So same thing. If you want, you can copy it from here. Okay, copy this one and paste it here in your updates. So we can place it somewhere here and paste it. Okay, so don't forget to trap. Okay, so this is helping your users not to commit mistakes or accidents in your system. So we have in here, let me just complete the code here. So we have the closing here and then else. So if this one press is yes, and then the button press was yes, then you have to proceed with the update. Else you have to cancel. Okay, so you just have to modify this. Instead of deletion, you have to write in here proceed user update. Okay, then replace this with updates also, and then the same thing, we will be using the buttons yes, no, and then icon is question. So then you can do the same thing what you've done with delete. You can cut this one and paste it here. Okay, paste. So same thing. So save it. Okay, since we have the user ID here, we have to add one parameter here, which is user ID, because we have full name, email, and password here, and we have to include this in our parameters. So normally you can just copy one of this, paste it here, and change it with the user ID here. Copy it, replace it here, paste, and paste it also here. So we have now this complete set of codes, and let's try to see what will happen. Okay, let me just modify further. Let me put a surname, and let me set a temporary password to 1234567 and press update. So press yes, then it says user was successfully updated. So I think for now we had completed all the codes for our sample application here. So you can expand this. Actually, you can modify and expand this if you want. You can also add here one tab. Let's say for example, you can use one tab here for chatting, one tab here for, let's say for example, chat, and the other tab you could add for sending email. In that way you could be creating an integrated system, right? So one for the web-based, and we have here one tab for sending and chat in your socket programming, chatting, and then one tab here for sending the email. So all of that you can make, all of those you can make an integrated system. So that's the end of our session for today. Thank you so much and see you soon.